Okay, hi everyone. Very good afternoon to all. If you're new here, my name is Tina Chandra, and I'm the marketing manager for Twarna. I handle core marketing activities such as increasing brand awareness, promotional campaigns, developing collateral, and lead generation. Our webinar today is going to cover quality assurance testing in NetSuite, why it is important, and the different types of QA testing. We'll be conducting a couple of demos, and since these are conducted in a test account, I'd like to apologize in advance for any slow loading times. Also, a quick note to our audience, there's a handy chat feature available on your right, and if you have any questions during the session, please post them in there. We have a member of our QA team, Sindhuja, who's on standby, and she's there to answer your questions in real time. Now, moving on, if you haven't already heard about us, let me give you a quick overview of Twarna. We started out consulting in NetSuite and Salesforce, but have since evolved to provide support, managed services, and integration services for NetSuite and Salesforce clients. We've also designed and built solutions for the NetSuite platform with the intent of extending its functionalities. Our suite apps cover a wide range of industries and address every business need, and you can find them on suiteapp.com using the search term Tvarna. Let's move on to our speaker for today. Let me introduce Abhishek Datta, who is our QA lead. He's our key point of contact for quality assurance of NetSuite processes as well as for suite apps. Abhishek has over 14 years of experience in QA and is closely involved in testing for key accounts at Tvarna. Hi, Abhishek, welcome.
Hi everyone. Hope everyone is staying safe.
Now let's jump into our content. Abhishek, over to you. Can you tell us why we need quality assurance testing?
Sure, Tina. QA testing is essential because it delivers defects or bugs in an application before its delivery to the client, which guarantees the quality of that application. It is a process of evaluating a system or its components with the intent to find whether it satisfies the specified business requirements or not. Thoroughly tested application ensures reliable and high performance software operations. Uh, let's talk about a couple of well-known examples of lack of testing leading to issues. The first one, in June 2015, RBS customers had to face an outage caused due to a software glitch for which the bank was fined £56 million. In January 2016, HSBC also suffered a major IT outage due to a technical issue, and millions of bank customers were unable to access their online accounts. The bank took almost 2 days to recover and get back to normal functioning, causing enormous inconvenience to the customers. QA is also critical to safety in the aviation industry. In May 2015, Airbus issued an emergency alert calling for checking its A400 aircraft when a report detected a software bug. This, however, happened a little too late, only after the bug has caused a fatal crash earlier in Spain. So, as you can see, like neglecting QA can prove to be an expensive mistake.
Thanks, Abhishek. That's some interesting info. Now let's talk about the types of quality assurance testing. That would be manual and automated, correct?
That's right, Tina. QA testing can be broadly classified into two ways. One is manual, the other one is automated testing. Manual testing is the process in which a tester executes test cases one by one in an individual manner to make an application bug-free before it goes live. When performing manual testing, the tester validates all the features of a software application and captures the results of the testing. In automated testing, on the other hand, test cases they are automated using tools like Selenium, which executes the test cases sequentially. And after execution of all the test cases, an HTML test report is generated, which displays the test cases with their respective test results. If we talk about automated testing, it can be performed on a variety of browsers, like we have Chrome, Mozilla, Safari, Internet Explorer. Now, if we talk about regression testing and smoke testing, both of which they are time consuming and they are complex, but both require the use of automation. Let me elaborate a little on both. If we talk about regression testing is a type of testing that is done to verify that a code change in that software does not impact the existing functionality of the product. This ensures that the product works as it should with its new functionality, bug fixes, or any changes to its existing features. In regression testing, previously executed test cases, they are re-executed actually in order to verify the impact of change. Now, if we come to smoke testing, a smoke testing is a software testing technique that is used to determine whether or not the deployed software build is stable or not. It's a confirmation for the QA team to proceed with further software testing, that is functional testing. It consists of a minimal set of tests run on each build to test software functionalities. That's why smoke testing is also known as build verification testing or confidence testing. Now, many of us are wondering what is the difference between this smoke and regression testing. Smoke testing is actually the surface level testing that verifies the stability of the system, while regression testing it goes much deeper, and smoke testing is always followed by regression testing. Now let's talk about how automated testing applies to an everyday situation. Social media company like Facebook, it frequently updates its platforms with new features and UI changes. With automation scripts in place, testing can be used to test the stability of these new features. There will be no need for manual intervention with automated scripts running, and this saves the company a considerable amount of time, resource.
Okay, thanks, Abhishek. How does manual compare against automated testing? I'm sure each type probably has its own strengths and weaknesses.
That's right, Tina. Manual testing is very hands-on. It requires QA engineers to be highly involved in everything, right from test case creation to actual test case execution and logging defects as and when required. In automated testing, the test scripts they're written in a tool actually that automates the execution of those test cases. So what is a test script? A test script is actually a set of instructions to be performed on a target platform to validate a feature or an application for an expected outcome. In manual testing, the test reports they are entered manually in an Excel sheet, which contains all the test results. While in automated testing, the test reports they are generated by a particular testing tool like Selenium after the execution of all these test cases. If we speak of their pros and cons, any manual process will be prone to error. So the same can be expected with manual testing also. It can be very time consuming and resource intensive and requires close monitoring. With automated testing, the process runs entirely on scripts with much lesser manual intervention and monitoring, and thereby reducing the manual effort to a great extent. This would obviously speed up the process, hence reducing the time drastically, although several repetitions would be required to ensure the most accurate results. Business will also need to invest in tools for automated testing.
Okay, Abhishek, let's talk about the manual testing process in NetSuite.
Yes, absolutely, Tina. The process of manual testing consists of a number of steps. The first being requirement analysis, where the testing process it begins with understanding the application to be tested and what the end user expects from the product. This is done by reviewing all available documents, studying studying any existing systems, integrations, and by interacting with the stakeholders or SMEs to understand their business requirements. Next, we have the test case creation. In this phase, actually, we prepare the test cases based on the requirements of that application. Once the test cases are ready and the application is available for testing, we begin with test case execution, marking each test case as pass or fail and raising defects for those failed test cases. Now, once the bugs have been fixed, the failed test cases which are linked to those bugs, they are retested and regression testing likewise is being performed. Why it's being performed? To ensure that the fixes do not adversely affect other applications or module functionalities.
Abhishek, can you show our audience how we send and create and send manual test reports?
Sure, we can. So once the test execution cycle is completed, the test results they are shared with the relevant stakeholders along with any log defects. Take a look at these slides. They show you a sample of a manual test report. The first slide consists of the test case summary, where we have the count of the test cases, number of test cases planned, the number of test cases executed, the number of test cases passed and failed. If we talk of the defect summary, it gives an idea of the number of closed and open defects, which are grouped based on severity like critical, major, medium, cosmetic, and standards. Now, if we move to the second slide, then we have details of the defect that we log. It has columns like defect ID, defect description, raise date, close date, comments, and status. The defect ID is like we write in this way is DEF001. The defect description gives a detailed description of that defect. The raise date is the date on which it's being raised. The close date, the date on which it's being closed. And if there are any comments, we can put our comments and we can mark the status from open to close. Now we will come to the third slide. The third slide gives an idea of the test cases that we have designed. So it has the columns like ID, it has columns like status, the test case description, the role, the test data, and the expected results. So if we write a particular test case, it will have an ID, just like a defect, like TC001. It will have a status or pass or fail. A short test case description, the role, the role that we need to perform that particular test case, to test that particular test case execution, the test data that is needed for that execution, and what is the expected result.
Right. Thank you, Abhishek. Let's now discuss automated testing in NetSuite and where it can be applied.
Yeah, here comes an interesting factor, the automated testing. Automated testing is a software testing technique which tests and compares the actual outcome against the expected results. This can be achieved by writing test scripts or using an automated testing tool. Test automation is used to automate repetitive tasks and other testing tasks which are difficult to perform manually. Now, if we talk about the advantages of automation in NetSuite processes, automation helps in saving time and effort in NetSuite processes like purchase order, sales order management. Let us take an example of a requirement in NetSuite to create 100 purchase orders with multiple sets of data. Now, if this needs to be tested manually, then creating hundreds of orders with different test data would be a tedious task. But with automation, this can be done easily actually by writing a test script for creation of one purchase order and then executing the same script for all the data sets. Creating one particular purchase order manually, it approximately takes around 10 minutes. So the process of creating hundreds of purchase orders would take a considerable amount of time. And also a human resource needs to be test every purchase order manually. But with the help of automation, one purchase order would be created in less than a minute, and there would be no need for human intervention in testing each purchase order. So we can say that automation can cut down on 95% of the total testing time. Now, now comes the advantages of automation in NetSuite release preview testing. It's an area where automation comes in handy. Let us take an example of a suite app in NetSuite, which could have a large number of forms, reports that needs to be tested. Suppose you begin your exploratory testing by opening a form which contains around 50 different fields. You try to enter random data in this form, which takes around 20 minutes and press submit. An error message is shown, which looks like an unhandled exception. You note down the steps, report the defect in your defect tracker. Great effort. You feel really confident and about your progress. You continue the testing until the day ends and find some more bugs. Now the next day comes. You discover that the developer has fixed that issue and released a new version of the build. You test the same application with the same steps and you find that the defect has been fixed. You mark it as fixed. You have contributed to the quality of the product by identifying that bug. And since the bug has been fixed, the quality has improved considerably. Now, sometimes goes by and the developer has again released a newer version. Now, again, you have to test that form to make sure that no regression issue is formed. Another 20 minutes is spent on that regression. So more and more time is being spent on the same task. And since NetSuite releases newer versions, having new features every 6 months, you have to test that same suite app functionalities along with newly added features just to make sure that there are no defects. Now, this is now turning out to be a really frustrating endeavor. You will fill around 50% of the total fields. You are no longer fulfilling the steps with the same energy and accuracy. As your luck would have it, your client reports the same bug in the same application. This is very disheartening and you question your abilities. Regression issues are some of the most painful. So we are humans and we cannot perform the same activity with the same energy, speed, accuracy every day. This is a job of the machines and where automation comes in to repeat the same steps with the same speed, accuracy, and energy over and over as they were done the first time around. So whenever such a situation arises, you should automate your test case. You will then be able to focus on more value added tasks while the automation takes care of the regressions. So cutting down your time spent on filling a form to less than 3 minutes and saving you 90% of the total testing time. The automation script will fill all the fields in seconds and will also tell you the execution results in an HTML report with screenshots attached wherever required. In case of any failure, it can exactly pinpoint the location where the test case has failed, and it will thus help you to reproduce it with ease. Now, as NetSuite is a web application, so here comes the role of Selenium. So we can use that tool called Selenium for automated testing. Setting up an automated framework, it's very affordable. As Selenium is a free license tool, there is no need for any significant investment. The only investment needed here is for test case design and test script development. So once the tool is selected, all the manual test cases are gathered and the test cases that needs to be automated are identified. A framework will then be selected after understanding the pros and the cons of the testing tool. Then the test scripts will be developed, the scripts are executed, the results are analyzed, and defects, if any, they are logged. Now, let's talk about an automated testing framework which is widely used in Selenium, that is TestNG. The NG in TestNG stands for next generation. TestNG is mainly inspired by JUnit actually, which uses the annotations at the rate. So using TestNG, we can generate a detailed report and easily determine how many test cases have passed, failed, or skipped. We can also execute the failed test cases separately. So that our audience can better understand how this works, we will demonstrate the TestNG framework. Let's get started. So here in we have used this Eclipse tool, and in this Eclipse
Great.
tool we have installed the Selenium. We will focus on one project, that is inventory count. This is a Maven project. So since it's a Maven project, we have used pom.xml. Now if we go to that pom.xml, we have used dependencies like Selenium dependencies, TestNG dependencies, and extend report dependencies. The advantage of pom.xml is we don't need to download the libraries independently. If we just add the dependencies, then all those jar files will automatically get attached to this project. Now we'll come to the packages. The first package that we need to start with is the config package. This package will consist of some class files. What's the use of this config package? This config package is used to store all the login credentials. The next package that comes is the Excel sheet reader. This package is used to read all the test data from the Excel sheet. The third package that comes into picture is the pages package. Now in an application there are so many pages, so each and every page will be mapped to a particular page class file. So all those class files are being grouped under this pages class. And whatever the functions, whatever the test cases that we need to write, we will write the code for those test cases out here. And this will be called in the next package by the name test cases package. So it will have those class files which will actually call to these functions. The last package which comes into picture is the util package. This util package is used throughout the project. Now, after running the script, it will generate the extend report. Now, if we go to an extend report, we'll be able to see there are two screens that are related to this extend report. In the first screen, we'll be able to see all the listed test cases on the left with their test results on the right. If we go to a filter option, we have a filter icon where we have the pass, fail, and the clear status. If we click on the pass option, we'll be able to see the list of all past test cases. If we click on the failed option, we'll be able to see the failed test cases. And if we click on that clear option, then by default, whatever the pass and the failed test cases we have, that will get displayed out here. The next option is the search text box. Suppose if we want to search for a particular test case, we can type in that test case name and that test case will get displayed. This is all about the first screen. Now we'll move to the second screen, that is the pie chart or the graphical representation of this test cases count. it shows the values of the start execution time, the end execution time, which is the entire time that is taken for a particular project execution, the total time required. Next comes the number of test cases passed, the number of test cases failed. Now, if we go to the pie chart, there are three pie charts. First gives a count of the number of test cases. The next one gives if there are any sub test cases, it gives a count of that. And the third one shows the count of the test results. If we hover on a particular pie chart, we'll be able to see the number of test cases passed as well as the number of test cases failed.
Thank you, Abhishek. Let me share the slides again. All right. Let's finally talk about how QA can mitigate risks for NetSuite releases and website deployments.
Sure, Tina. QA testing can greatly reduce risk at an early stage. So performing both manual and automated testing, it ensures code quality and data privacy for NetSuite processes and suite apps. QA mainly helps in the following ways. Firstly, by ensuring that all the major risks of the software development are listed. Next, by assessing risk probability and identifying any risk mitigation measures in advance. And finally, by identifying potential risks as initial project assumptions and developing a risk management scheme. That covers our content on QA testing in NetSuite. But before I conclude, I would like to leave you with some info on our QA offerings. If we talk about our Twadana's QA offerings, our primary focus is to help organizations like deliver high quality software applications that works flawlessly as intended under any condition across platforms or channels using innovative and robust quality assurance processes. Our service offerings include, but are not limited to, like manual and automated testing using agile methodologies, verification of application conformity with behavioral specifications, high test case coverage with complex datasets, parallel testing, priority based testing, cross browser testing using automation frameworks like TestingG, and there is also another framework by the name Cucumber. Mitigating business and technical risks. Release preview testing also we do, and ensuring consistency in the applications and the ability to track changes, any changes that we have. So if you need more information on how our QA team can help your business, please reach out to us using any of the contact details that we will provide you shortly.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. So I'm going to end today's session, and you'll see our contacts up on the screen in front of you. If you have any questions around QA, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And until then, I will see you at our next session. Bye bye. Thank you.